ever get that feeling like you're trying to learn something new, really get it down, but it's just so much information.
Oh, yeah, totally.
Well, today we're going to zoom in on something. I think it's something a lot of people struggle with, and we get a lot of questions about it too, and that's building confidence, when you're speaking English.
Right.
So to do this, we're going to be using this conversation. It's kind of a snapshot, really, between two English language learners, Jake and Emma.
Okay.
And Jake, he is, hitting that wall. He's feeling frustrated, He wants to be fluent, but he's feeling stuck.
Yeah, makes sense.
But Emma, she's got some strategies, some things that are working for her. So what we want to do with this deep dive today is to take their conversation and really pick it apart, find those nuggets of wisdom and practical stuff, things you can actually start using today to feel more confident speaking English. And that's no matter what level you're at right now, whether you're just starting out or you've been at it for a while. So, what do you think? Ready to jump in?
Yeah, let's do it. I think it's going to be helpful to hear how these learners are approaching this because, it's something that everyone goes through, that feeling that Jake describes.
Yeah, for sure.
Wanting to express yourself, having those thoughts in your head,
yeah,
but then actually getting them out in another language smoothly, it can be a huge challenge.
Yeah.
I think what's interesting about this conversation between Jake and Emma is it highlights really practical ways to deal with that.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, so let's dive into this conversation.
Okay.
So one of the first things that Jake he's really struggling with is just making a simple request, like, can you give a coffee? It seems like that fear of messing up the grammar, making a mistake, that just really crushes his confidence.
Oh, absolutely. And that's actually where Emma, she comes in with a really crucial point. I think she hits the nail on the head. She says, confidence isn't about being perfect.
Right.
It's more about being okay with making mistakes and then learning from those mistakes.
Mm-hmm.
And what's interesting here is how she's like reframing this whole idea of making mistakes.
Right. Yeah.
Because often when we're learning something new, any skill, really, we can be so hard on ourselves.
Yeah.
But with language learning, those mistakes, they're actually super valuable. They're like feedback.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like if you're learning to play guitar, you wouldn't expect to like pick it up and play a perfect solo the first time. Every time you hit a wrong note, that helps you to adjust and get better.
Right.
So Emma's saying we should like embrace those wrong notes in English, see them as part of the process, not something to like totally freak out about.
Totally. I think so many people think they need to have like perfect grammar before they can even open their mouth,
Right.
But Emma, she also points out something else. She's like, native speakers, most of the time, they actually appreciate it when someone's trying to speak their language.
Right.
So, I mean, that takes the pressure off a little, doesn't it?
It really does.
Yeah.
Because if you think about it, like what's the main point of language anyway?
Mm-hmm.
It's about communication, getting your meaning across,
Yeah.
connecting with other people. And while, grammar is helpful, it's not the only thing that matters. Like it's not the be all end all.
Right.
And Emma actually gives this example, which I thought was really helpful. She says, it's better to just get your point across, even if you have to use simpler words.
Right.
So instead of saying something like, I seem to have misplaced my wallet, which can sound a bit, just say, my wallet is gone.
Right.
Simple, direct.
Straight to the point.
Exactly. It's about being clear and effective.
Yeah.
Not about showing off your fancy vocabulary.
Right. Keep it simple. Get the message across.
Yeah.
Okay. So then Jake, he brings up this other problem he has. He's He says he's thinking in his native language, and then he has to translate everything into English.
Uh,
And he says it feels really slow and clunky. Like it's just too much work.
yeah, I can see that.
And I mean, I bet a lot of people listening know exactly what he's talking about.
Oh, I'm sure it's a really, really common thing. It's a bottleneck for like so many language learners.
Yeah.
That constant translating, it just takes up so much brain power.
It's exhausting.
It is.
Yeah.
And it slows you down.
Yeah.
You know, you can't respond quickly and naturally if you're like stuck in that translation loop.
Right.
So Emma, she suggests something pretty radical. She says, try to practice thinking directly in English.
Wow.
Yeah, like completely bypass that middle step of your native language.
That sounds hard.
It can be. Yeah, at first it might feel slow and awkward, like you're forcing it. But the more you do it, you're basically creating new pathways in your brain. So eventually you start to think in English naturally.
Okay, but how do you actually like make that switch? I mean, thinking in a whole other language, that's kind of abstract, isn't it?
It can be. But Emma, she gives some really concrete tips. That's what I like about her approach.
Yeah.
Like specific things you can do.
Okay, like what?
So she says, first thing when you wake up in the morning, try thinking about your day, your plans, but in English.
Okay.
So like, what do I need to do today? Okay, I need to make coffee, then I'll check my email. Just like basic stuff.
Right.
Another thing she says is to label your feelings in English. So if you're feeling hungry, just say to yourself, I am hungry.
I am hungry.
I am a little tired.
I am a little tired.
This is interesting. Just kind of like narrate your feelings in English.
Yeah.
And then the third tip is to describe the stuff around you, but in English.
Got it.
This coffee is hot. That chair is comfortable. The sky is blue.
Okay. I like that.
Yeah. So it's all about weaving English into your everyday thoughts, little by little.
Right. It's not like you need to set aside this huge chunk of time to study.
Exactly. It's more about making English a constant presence in your mind, like a background hum.
Right, right. Okay, so you're starting to think in English. You're focusing on just getting your meaning across clearly, not worrying too much about, making mistakes. What else? What's the next part of Emma's confidence plan?
So this is interesting. She brings up something that often gets overlooked in language learning, and that's nonverbal communication,
Okay.
body language.
Oh, right.
It's not just about the words you use. It's about how you present yourself physically when you're speaking.
It's true. I mean, think about it. Even in your own language, the way you stand, whether you make eye contact, it all makes a difference.
Totally. Yeah. Yeah, you can say the same exact words. But if your posture is all hunched over and you're avoiding eye contact, people are going to perceive you differently.
Yeah, you'll come across as less confident.
Exactly. And that can affect how you feel about yourself too.
Right.
So Emma, she gives this advice. It might seem really basic, but it's powerful. She said, stand tall, make eye contact, and smile.
Okay.
And there's this moment where Jake actually tries it out. He's like this. And I was like, perfect. It's really cute.
Yeah.
But it shows how these small physical adjustments can actually make a big difference, both in how confident you appear and how confident you actually feel.
It's like you're embodying confidence even if you don't quite feel it yet.
Exactly. And it also has a practical benefit too. Like when you make eye contact, you have open posture. It shows the other person that you're engaged, that you're present.
Right.
And that can make the whole interaction smoother and less intimidating for everyone.
For sure. Okay, so you're standing tall, you're starting to think in English, you're smiling, but then you actually start speaking, and that's where things can get tricky.
Totally.
And Jake, he admits that when he gets nervous, he just starts rushing his words.
Yeah.
Like he speeds up. And I think that's something a lot of us can relate to.
Oh, absolutely.
Wait,
When you get anxious, it's like your instinct is to just get the words out as fast as possible.
yeah.
Like if you speak quickly, you can like escape the situation faster or something.
Yeah, like get it over with.
Yeah, exactly. But ironically, that often makes things worse.
Right.
Because when you speak too fast, it's harder for people to understand you.
And you probably end up feeling even more flustered.
Exactly. It can spiral. So Emma, she gives this counterintuitive advice. She says, slow down,
Okay.
speak slowly and deliberately. And it seems so simple, but it's so effective.
It's hard though, right? Like when you're in that moment and you feel that panic rising, your instinct is to just rush.
Right. But that's where you got to fight that urge. Like consciously pause before you speak and then just enunciate clearly at a pace that feels a little slower than you're used to.
Okay.
And that actually gives you more time to think, to choose your words. And it makes you sound more confident.
Yeah, because you're not just like this jumble of words.
Right. There's this great example. She says, imagine you're ordering a coffee.
Okay.
Instead of blurting out, I want a coffee, you take a breath and you say, I want a coffee, please.
I want a coffee, please.
Slowly, clearly.
Yeah, yeah.
And the funny thing is, Jake tries it and he's like, wow, I feel more in control.
That's so interesting.
It is. It's about taking control of the rhythm of the conversation.
Right. So slow down, not just so people can understand you, but to give yourself that mental space to feel more in command.
Exactly.
Now, what about those moments when you're speaking and you just blank?
Oh, yeah.
You can't think of the word you need. Jack talks about just freezing up mid-sentence.
Yeah, it's the worst. Your mind goes blank.
Right.
You just want to disappear.
Right.
It's a huge confidence killer.
Yeah.
But luckily, Emma has a strategy for this too. She calls it the strategic use of filler words.
Filler word.
Yeah, those little phrases like, well, or let me think. They're like a bridge. Yeah, they give you a second to find the word you're looking for without that awkward silence.
Right.
So instead of just like stopping dead in your tracks,
Yeah.
you keep the conversation flowing.
Right.
And you buy yourself some time.
So it's like a little mental pause button.
Yeah, exactly. And the best part is Emma points out that native speakers use filler words all the time too.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
Like, you know, and like,
Yeah.
it's not like a sign that you're bad at English. It's just a natural part of how people talk.
Right.
And she even has Jake practice it. He says, well, I think I prefer tea.
Okay.
And I was like, that sounds so natural.
Good job, Jake.
Yeah, exactly. It's all about making your speech sound more like natural and less, you know, robotic.
Yeah. Yeah.
So next time you can't find the right word, don't panic. Just throw in a well or a,
Yeah.
what do you think? It gives you time to gather your thoughts.
Okay, good tip.
What?
So we've covered mindset, thinking in English, body language, pacing, filler words. Anything else?
Yeah, some pronunciation.
Yep.
That's a big one for a lot of learners.
Yeah, it can be really intimidating.
Totally. So Emma, she introduces this technique called shadowing.
Shadowing. I've never heard of that.
Yeah, so basically you listen to a native English speaker, could be, you know, a podcast, a TED Talk, whatever,
Okay.
and you repeat what they're saying, but like immediately after them. You try to copy their pronunciation, their intonation, everything.
So you're like a shadow.
Exactly. It's not about understanding every word at first. It's more about getting used to the sounds of English.
The rhythm of the language.
Exactly. And Emma, she gives some good resources for this. She mentions TED Talks, podcasts, YouTube videos.
Those are all easy to find.
Yeah, exactly. And there's so much variety. different accents, different speaking styles. You can find something that you enjoy listening to, which makes it a lot more fun.
Right. You're more likely to stick with it.
Exactly. And she recommends starting small. Like just listen to a minute or two at a time and really focus on matching the speaker, their speed, their pauses, the way their voice rises and falls.
Okay.
It's like a workout for your mouth muscles. You're training them to make the sounds of English.
I like that analogy. It's like you're building those muscles. Okay, so all these techniques, they sound really helpful. But Emma also stresses one thing that really ties it all together.
Oh, yeah, this is crucial. She's like, none of this matters unless you actually practice.
Practice.
Exactly. She says the best way to build confidence is to speak English every day. Even if it's just for 5 minutes, 10 minutes.
Okay.
Because it reinforces everything else you're doing.
Right.
It builds fluency. It reduces anxiety. It's like exercising a muscle.
Yeah.
The more you use it, the stronger it gets.
Right.
And she even gives some ideas for how to practice if you don't have anyone to talk to.
Oh, that's good, because I know a lot of people struggle with that.
Yeah, so she suggests something called self-talk.
Self-talk.
Yeah, it might sound a little weird, but you basically just talk to yourself in English.
Oh.
Like, describe what you're doing. Now, I am making breakfast. I am thinking about my plans for the evening.
Okay.
And it might feel silly at first, but it gets you comfortable forming sentences using vocabulary.
Right.
Another thing she suggests is recording yourself speaking.
Okay.
Yeah, I know that can be scary to listen back to, but it gives you really good feedback.
All right.
Like you can hear where you stumble, where your pronunciation could be clear. You can track your progress.
Right.
And then, of course, she mentions language exchange apps.
Yeah.
Those are great for finding people to practice with,
Right.
either other learners or native speakers who want to learn your language. It's a win-win.
Yeah, for sure. So Emma doesn't just give Jake all this advice and then send him off on his own.
No.
She actually puts him through a little final challenge.
Yeah, she gives him a chance to try out everything they've talked about in real-world situation.
Okay, so what's the scenario?
So she imagines that Jake is in a bookstore.
Okay.
And he needs help finding a book.
Oh.
And his first attempt, it's rough. You can tell he's nervous.
What does he say?
He's all, excuse me, I need help.
Yeah, we've all been there.
Totally. Those hesitant ums and the awkward pauses, it's so relatable.
Yeah.
But then Emma encourages him to try again.
Okay.
But this time, using the techniques they've practiced.
Okay. And what happens?
So he takes a breath and he says, excuse me. Well, I need some help finding a book.
Oh, that's much better. It's like that, gives him a second to collect himself.
Exactly. And Emma's like, that was perfect. And Jake's like, wow, I feel so much better. It's a real light bulb moment.
That's great.
It's like he finally sees that these small changes can actually make a big difference in how he feels.
Right. And Emma, she leaves him with this really encouraging message. She says, just keep practicing and soon confidence will come naturally.
It's a great reminder that confidence isn't something you just have, or don't have. It's something you build over time with practice.
Right. Okay, so let's quickly recap, all the great stuff that we've learned from Jake and Emma's conversation today.
Okay.
So, building confidence in English, it's not about being perfect right away.
No.
It's about shifting your mindset, being okay with making mistakes and using them to learn.
Right.
It's about focusing on communicating clearly, not worrying so much about perfect grammar.
Yeah.
It's about starting to think in English, using your body language to project confidence,
Yeah.
pacing yourself when you speak, using those filler words strategically,
Yeah.
practicing pronunciation with shadowing, and most importantly, speaking English every day.
Couldn't have said it better myself.
Right.
Yeah. I think the key takeaway here is that anyone can become more confident in English.
Yeah.
It just takes consistent effort and a willingness to keep trying. Like, you already have the tools you need.
Exactly. So here's a little something to think about as you go about your day today or this week even. Think of one specific situation where you can use one or maybe two of these techniques that we talked about today.
Okay.
So maybe it's really focusing on standing tall and making eye contact when you're talking to someone.
Wow.
Or maybe it's consciously using a filler word when you need a moment to think.
Mm-hmm.
Just try it out. See what happens.
Yeah.
See if it makes a difference in how you feel. And thanks for listening. This has been a really insightful deep dive. I think we all learned a lot from Jake and Emma today.
For sure. I hope everyone feels a little more confident about their English journey after this.
Me too. And until next time, keep practicing.
And keep learning.
Absolutely.
See you next time.
Bye.